what's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we are taking a look at Killers Anonymous, which of course is a movie that I keep on seeing on services like Vudu, Fandango now, Google Play Movies, iTunes, and the sort. But yet nobody seems to know that it exists. Nobody seems to be talking about it or reviewing it, especially not on YouTube. But why is that? Is there a reason why people are overlooking it? Is it because it's so bad that they're actually being warned off of it? Or is it more along the lines of there's basically no marketing to this movie, so nobody knows that it exists? Is it more along the lines of a hidden gem? Is that more like it? I don't know, but let's get into it. When a failed attempt at a U.S. senator's life occurs, a group of contract killers meet for their scheduled meeting at the Killers Anonymous support group, where they can share their experiences, tell how they started as killers, so they can not quite be alone in their experiences murdering people. So there's actually a couple of things that actually really intrigued me in seeing this movie. The first and foremost thing would be the very little marketing that it did have, which was showcasing the fact that Gary Oldman was in it, and he's a really fantastic actor. We all know, we all love him. And also Jessica Alba, which we haven't seen in years, she's in this. And that was one thing. Another thing was the concept itself, a support group for killers. There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of places that it could potentially go. I didn't know anything about the story, the plot, or anything like that, but I thought just the fact that it did have promise was enough to watch it. That being said, I'm going to start this review on some negatives, since I feel the obligatory need to tell you some things, to warn you of some things before seeing it, before getting yourself into this. If you are the type of person that doesn't like a movie where a bunch of people just sit around a room and just talk about random things from beginning to end, you will hate this movie, since that's exactly what it is. However, we all know that it can work. It can be very successful, very popular, and very well done. 12 Angry Men is an example of where it can really impress you. Also, if you are watching this movie based off of the same reason I am, and watching it because Gary Oldman is in it and Jessica Alba, you are going to be disappointed because they are not main characters. They are not at the forefront. They're at the background, and they have very little screen time, while everybody else, who are random people that you don't know, are the main characters. The reason why I feel like they're doing that is kind of an advertising thing. Like, it's false advertising, a marketing ploy specifically to get you to watch the movie, and then they're in the background doing random things while all these random unknown people are taking center stage. Also, if you like narrative, if you like protagonist, antagonist, story goals, things that people are going after, wrongs that they're trying to right, things of the nature, you're going to hate this movie because it doesn't have that. There is basically no point to this movie. There's very little plot. It really is just a bunch of people sitting around a room talking. So if it does have all of these bad things attributed to the movie, why should you watch it? Is there anything that's actually good about it? Yes. If you're going to categorize this movie, I would tell you to ignore the genres of it. Action, crime, thriller, mystery. There is no action, mystery, or thriller. There is crime because they're killers. But that's not what this movie is about. Ignore all of that. Instead, I would tell you to categorize this in the artsy-fartsy department. There's things that this movie does right on how it looks, sounds, and feels, more so than it is about what it's about. It doesn't really care what it's about, but it is trying to send a certain message. Some people know this about my reviews, some people don't, but when I review a movie, I have a spreadsheet of scores of how I do things, and I break things down into categories. One of those things is behind the scenes, visuals, cinematography, editing, advertisement, and the music and sound. Basically, everything in that category got perfect remarks other than advertisement. Obviously, there's false advertisement with the whole Gary Oldman, Jessica Alba thing, but everything else got perfect remarks. The other thing that got perfect remarks was the dialogue in the writing category. A huge portion of this movie really is the dialogue on what people say and how they say it. They go on long tangent storytelling that seems to be random, but there is a point by the end. So the whole time they're just staring at the camera telling you the story about this thing that happened earlier in their day, earlier in their life. But don't worry, it's not random. There's a point to this. There's a reason why I'm telling you this story. So you just have to stick around. Trust me in what I'm saying. There's a lot of that. And somehow it works. There's something that is really reminiscent of theatrical dialogue, so I have to give full points there. That was definitely a huge focus for the filmmakers in the process. As for behind the scenes, everything in it was basically perfect, albeit a bit subtle. What makes the visual so great? Lighting and colors. One person will be talking to the camera, and then the background will just dim out to black. they'll still be there, and then they'll start to turn red, and it's just this black and red thing, which is definitely a visual thing. It looks nice. And then the next scene takes place in a white background where it's just people talking. There's definitely some unique things going on with the visuals, with the lighting and color. What about the cinematography and the camera work? Well, that's like one shots, but not only that, but they used a really long tangent one shot where they just followed this guy around this room while they were having one of those long tangent speeches like I talked about in the dialogue portion. Both things are technically really challenging to pull off, and the fact that they're doing both at the same time made it double impressive. Editing, again, is very subtle, but there is juxtaposition stuff in there that actually I found very impressive. Again, it's nothing that stands out as incredible, but it is there. It is very, very well done. It's subtle, but I think you can appreciate for what they're doing. I also really like the music. Whether they were picking out songs or they're using a musical score, I liked what they were going for, and I would listen to the soundtrack of this film outside of the movie itself. Behind the scenes was good. Very impressive. However, it's not everything that a movie needs to be. In my opinion, it needs to be a whole package. It needs to have everything that the behind the scenes category had, but it also needs the plot. It needs the purpose. Because then you start to have a snowball effect, right? Because if it doesn't have any purpose, then it has no balance to the film. If it has no balance to the film, then the characters don't really have obstacles that they have to go through. And if they don't have obstacles that they have to go through, then none of them have independent importance to their roles in the film. Everything starts to fall apart because the writing isn't there. So at the end of the day, I would actually say this movie is completely overlooked because nobody knows it exists because of no marketing, but at the same time, it's also bad, so they shouldn't check it out. Yes, it has elements in there that are impressive from a filmmaker's perspective, but a general audience won't care about it. So what did I rate it? 55%. That's what I came up with. And guys, if you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. For YouTube, you know what you can do. You can hit subscribe, like it, and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.